Hello and welcome to Worthy Watchers Weekly. This is the weekly podcast where we go in depth on anything within the motion art medium, TV shows, animation, movies, etc. It's all game here. Especially TV shows, because since we're all at home, hopefully right now, we have the perfect time to binge some of our favorite TV shows out there. So we thought we would run down a few of our favorites and talk about them. Of course, my name is Anthony Tyson, and I'm joined by my bro, Ransom.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. And again, second day of quarantine podcast. Well, I guess second week, really, because it's been a week since then. But it's been a work in progress. What do you think, Ransom?
Yeah, it's life is all about adapting. And that's what we got to do to make sure we're keeping everyone safe.
Yeah, and giving doctors some time,
Yeah.
I feel like that's what we're doing. We're buying time, like the last charge by the armies of men and elves and dwarves at the Return of the King in Lord of the Rings. We were buying Frodo time to get the One Ring into the pits, to the fires from whence it came.
Indeed.
Anyway, we're going to be talking about TV shows. So, Ransom, we have been obviously distracted by a lot of these things lately, as is needed right now, being inside of, quarantine. I don't know about you, but I have some new shows that I've gotten picked out. And if we have some time towards the end, maybe I'll shout out some old favorites. But we thought we would give you a list of kind of like our top 5 right now to check out.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting with number 5, Ransom, what do you got for us? What's a good pick out there for people to watch while they're stuck at home?
I haven't gotten all the way through this, but all of my friends, especially Kira, insist on this show, which is Letterkenny.
Oh yeah, I've watched a few episodes of it. I can see the appeal to some.
Yeah, it's a perfect show to put on to just like watch it because it's dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah, no, it is.
But there's also some like really good the dialogue itself is actually really good because it's very like poetic in a sense. If you listen to like some of the openings
in a Letterkenny way, I could see it.
Yeah, like they open with like doing the whole like A to Z alliterations and stuff and like making a story with all of those alliterations. You're like, how the hell? Like taking that much time to actually do that and put that in your dialogue is like impressive in itself. So yeah, I'd say give it a go. Give it a try. I know I need to watch more of it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's going to be definitely one that I'll be, working on in the background after I get through a few of the other things that I have going on. Yeah. And oh my God, quick sidetrack. I was playing The Witcher last night and holy crap, I just got to the second DLC and I didn't realize that CD Projekt Red outdid themselves. And it's an entire map like the size of Skellige and like then some. And I'm like, oh my God. How am I going to have the time? Anyway, my number 5.
Yes.
I got a new recommendation because CBS All Access, for those of you out there, hot tip, is going to be free the next month for everyone. So go in, get your free trial, check that out, get your free month. You will have to put in a credit card information, but it's all worth it because they've got new Star Trek. And boy, oh boy, it is interesting. I am through now almost halfway through episode 7 of the show Picard.
Nice.
Yeah, and Picard is interesting. Like, if any of you Star Trek fans are out there and you're hungry for stuff that was continuing on the universe that fans from Voyager and Deep Space Nine and obviously The Next Generation kind of left behind at the end of the 90s, and actually really more of early 2000s if you count the movies. But we kind of left that universe and then we restarted everything, with the new time continuum that is, the new Star Trek movies, which are like resetting the
The J.J. Abrams
Kirk
ones.
days. Yeah, exactly. The Abrams movies. And so I feel like we've been kind of starved for stuff like that, right? And so this finally gives us a look at what happened to these characters after those shows had ended and after the movies had concluded. And it is super fascinating. I'll be honest, there are a ton of surprise appearances in this show, ones that I was not expecting at all. And it's kind of awesome, and some are kind of heartbreaking, actually.
Mm.
I think that this show is trying to be the anti-Roddenberry of the Star Trek universe. That is to say that we had done so much as Starfleet, right? And we were amazing and we were awesome. But then through not following through to the core ideals that we were espousing, we allowed ourselves to become a little bit corrupt, so to speak, and lose sight of what our morals are. I actually kind of dig it if you are a fan of the conclusion of Voyager. I'll just put it that way, where like pragmatism kind of like wins out in some people's minds as they become Starfleet admirals. And then, they finally remember that their inner humanity, and kind of back to what they're all about and what their morals are and who they are. And so I feel like this whole journey is kind of about Picard reclaiming himself, which is interesting.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So I will say watch it if you are a Star Trek fan. That's my one thing. Otherwise, you're probably going to be like, I don't know if I dig it that much. But if you're a Star Trek fan, it's either going to piss you off or surprise you. And I think that's worth it.
I definitely want to check it out. I've been wanting something to get me back into Star Trek.
Dude, we have so much to talk about if you watch that TV show. Oh my God. Like right now, what's happening in episode 7, I haven't even finished it. And I'm all like, what is happening here? Because there's some certain people from Voyager that get revealed. I'll put it that way. You already know one of them.
Yeah.
And there are some surprise things that happen with that character and her development. I feel like this show, though, for like the ultra fans, you're going to just be like asking yourself, well, what happened to that character? Well, what happened to that character? Try to scale that back just a little bit. Because then I think you can dig it. Yeah. But yeah, it's some surprising shit. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Ransom, number 4.
All right. Number 4, I'm going to say Hassan Minhaj, Patriot Act.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Hassan is just he's brilliant. Did I pronounce that right?
You're brilliant. Hassan Minhaj. Yeah.
Hassan Minhaj. Yeah. I just want to make sure to pronounce it correctly. But yeah, he's brilliant. I like his comedy and the way he tells stories. I think is just incredibly like captivating for the audience. He does a really perfect job at really like swelling the story to like be climactic. And in Patriot Act, he's talking about like real life occurrences and just like discussing them, kind of like John Oliver or
it's like it's crazy because I do think there's a lot of John Oliver in that show to a point, but where Oliver is all about espousing like the hypocrisies and kind of like really making a joke about it, right? I feel like Minaj is actually more serious in a sense. I feel like this show does have comedy, obviously, to help you get through all the bad stuff. But I feel like it always ends with that question like, well, what are we doing here, guys? Like really look at what's going on. And that's what I like about this show.
Yeah, I think he does a really superb job at that, like realizing that you can make jokes about the situations, but also be able to take that with a grain of salt, and realize the depth of what this causes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we're at that point now where humor starts to create apathy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
Yeah.
like his show finds that balance where the humor doesn't make it apathetic. You know, it's still got a point and it's really
Mm-hmm.
challenging you to try and stay active and to remember to care.
Yeah. 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 So I think if you're looking for something that is talking about real life events but you want a little humor with it, definitely check out Patriot Act on
Yeah, that's a
Netflix.
really
Really
good
good
one.
stuff. Yeah.
Good
All right.
call.
What's your number 4, Anthony?
Oh man. Okay. I'm surprised this is only number 4, but I think it's number 4 now because the last few weeks I've just been like, okay, we're just hanging out. My Hero Academia. Come
Uh,
on, I mean, I gotta bring it up. If you haven't watched the past seasons, go watch them. They're amazing. Not only is it just some like really cool, groundbreaking animation, top of its class for like shonen type anime, but you know, I really think that there's like a heart to this show that really makes me happy. It's very positive, and when you need positivity right now so bad, I feel like the show gives it an ounces. And it's not to say that there aren't hard times or that getting to that point isn't difficult. It just shows you the power of perseverance very well, you know, and I feel like that's a good thing right now. And this latest season, the first start, oh my god, first half of it, amazing. Right now, we're just kind of hanging out. We're getting a band session together, but that's fine too because the characters, you love them. So yeah, My Hero Academia. If you need some animation or you're curious as to what anime is like, I feel like this is the show to get your sink into a little bit in order to get that kind of like feel, because of so many other shows, you dip your toe in there and you're 12 feet under and you're like, what the hell is happening? This is a nice segue into anime type sensibility.
yeah. No, it does a great job at it also has kind of an Americanized sense to it in some of it.
A
But
little bit, yeah.
as far as like, you know, the idea of like always striving to be like number one, be the top, but also like seeing that some of those like getting there is harder than what might think.
Well, and it's
But
like it's being the best while like acknowledging that everybody can be the best.
yeah.
That's the interesting thing, and I think that it's striving for. Where like the culture misunderstands some of the intent, and there are people like Midoriya that get it, so
Mhm.
innately, and
Yeah.
he ends up inspiring everyone else around him to be their best too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
So
very good
number 4.
show. I'm definitely gonna have to get your Funimation uh account again
Yeah.
so I can catch up.
Yeah, you will. Ransom, what's your number 3?
Number 3. All right. I am gonna say Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, Star Wars. So we are gonna do an oldie. We're gonna do a little bit of an oldie here.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the reason why I thought of Star Wars Rebels is because I know a lot of people haven't actually seen like even Star Wars fans haven't really paid attention to the animated shows.
Some
Some,
tragically.
yeah. Which I think, you know, take your time with it, um, and allow yourself some patience to get into it and really dive deep into the lore, because I really feel like that's what Dave Filoni does, is that he allows for the story to set itself up so that he can then explore the lore, because that's where it kind of goes from like season to season, where you get more and more lore as it goes.
Yeah,
So
I agree 100% with that. I mean, if you want something to sink your teeth into and like understand the Star Wars universe and the mythos more, Rebels is a great way to do it because it gives you, the Empire, and the Rebels in a somewhat digestible format. True, it challenges your understanding on how the rebellion was made, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's
mhm.
kind of cool to see the way that it all comes to fruition at the end, and what we might have in store for season 2 of Mandalorian. So
Yeah.
everybody that's watching Mandalorian should check out the Rebels so that some of the characters that are going to be going into season 2 before season 2 happens. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's your number 3?
Number 3. Wow. Yeah. Funny enough, I have a Star Wars one too, and it's a recent one. Star Wars: The
Oh,
Clone Wars.
nice.
Yeah, Star Wars: The
Kinda.
Clone Wars. Well, so okay, here's the fine line. Back in 2009, this series was first started. And actually 2008, if you're counting the movie and weird shit, sort of in that time frame, right? So a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away, essentially, was when this was made. And then, they continued it on. Netflix around 2015 acquired the rights to distribute it for a while. They got the Lost season out. That was amazing. I was like, thank fucking God for that. We loved it. We were super interested because it had so much to do with Order 66 and getting in with these like clones and their mentalities and their methodologies and stuff even more. And then this really cool final episode. And we're like, okay, well, maybe that was it. But we're like, wait a minute. Some of these characters, we still don't get how they got from like this point to this point. There's still a little bit more story left in there, like the Siege of Mandalore. What the hell happened? And now that we're looking in The Mandalorian and you hear past references to things like that happening, you're like, well, what the hell? We need to know more. And so now we're finally getting that in the Clone Wars. And it's super interesting. Right now, I'd say it's a slow burn. First couple episodes, kind of like action with some cool stuff going on. And these last two is world building with Ahsoka. And I'm okay with that because, I'm digging the Ahsoka vibes. Did you watch the latest episode, by the way, Ransom?
I did. I
Yes.
thought it was really interesting. Also, like,
I liked it.
That moment with where like they're going through
Kessel?
Coruscant. Well, they're exiting.
Oh, yes.
The
Yeah.
orbit,
No spoilers,
and
but yes.
yeah. I was like, oh my God. I was like wanting to tear up. I was like, oh my God, that's deep.
You know what? Let's just say this. If you are wondering, in the first 3 movies, if you didn't understand really, or you didn't feel the progression from good guy Anakin to bad guy Anakin, Clone Wars is the way to feel that. They do it subtly and they do it very interestingly, and it works. And we keep seeing more of those kind of moments in this latest season. And I am like digging it. I love this. So yeah, shivers down the spine, so to speak, for that kind of a relationship. Feel you. But yeah, that you should definitely watch it if you like Star Wars, along with Rebels. So just go watch Star Wars.
Yes, go watch all of it.
Yeah, if you hate the movies, go watch the Star Wars shows.
Yep, really good stuff.
Yeah. Number 2, Ransom.
All right, number 2. I'm gonna say Veronica Mars.
Oh, of course. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you are really going backwards. I did not have a lot of backwards one. I might have one to shout out.
Well, hey, Veronica Mars is a similar sense with,
so to speak. You're right.
yeah,
you're right.
with Clone Wars. Yeah, Veronica Mars, old CW show. Actually, back when it was still WB. And I think the first season came out 2003. But yeah,
Maybe.
there were 3 seasons of Veronica Mars, high school student, but also a detective. Her dad was thrown out of the police force due to suspecting the wrong killer. And like the first season is all about finding out who that killer was. And it's such a fascinating show because I feel like Veronica Mars is the one show to have, like, you have like Riverdale and like they're doing like Nancy Drew now and like Sabrina, and
Well,
they're all
they're just so crazy.
Yes, they're all it's too ridiculous. And also shows teenagers as not teenagers sometimes, if you get what I mean. Like it's just kind of like glorifying like things that adults do that teenagers are doing in this,
which is so funny. Like the first season of Riverdale, I thought didn't do that, and then I started seeing some stuff from like the second season and what Katie was telling me of what's happening now, because they have like a regular Riverdale party, and it's
Mhm.
just like, what the hell is going on? Like the plot
Yeah.
is over the moon.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I like about Veronica Mars, is that it always stayed really structured in like creating these um these stories about, people like dying and her solving the cases. It like actually felt realistic to what a teenager would go through if they like tried
Yeah,
to.
and grounded.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like it's trying to sexualize teenagers, you know like it talks about teenagers having sex, but then also like how fucked up things can happen, if uh you know adults are involved and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. So yeah, really good show. It's on Hulu. They just came out last year with a new season as her as like grown up, uh and that was really fun. So yeah, go watch it.
Cool. I
You'll
like
enjoy
it.
it.
I
Yeah.
dig it.
All right. What's your number two?
So I'm gonna bring up one that we've talked a bajillion times about. So I'm not gonna rest on it too much because I'm hoping that you've heard of us say why it's so good before. But right now, if you want to see why lying and misleading the public and doing the wrong things in a situation that affects all of us as human beings and how governments can fail, go watch Chernobyl. I think it expertly espouses why people are so fed up with the way that governments lie and try and abuse public trust, right? It's just when egos become more important than people, that's when the largest number of us die. I feel like. And I think Chernobyl shows that. And also the way that you can recover from that with people that don't have those egos and that learn to humble themselves and to keep it in check so that they can work for a common purpose and an ultimate good. So it's like a total weird polar paradigm of both the total fallacy of the human you know existence, so to speak, and then that ultimate side where it's like, yeah, no, human beings can be amazing at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
And
Chernobyl.
and the nice thing about it is that if you're looking for a show that like isn't very long, Chernobyl's a great.
That's why when we were talking about shows to binge right now, I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I feel like I should just shout out one that maybe we've done a couple times now, but is a good reminder to anybody that still hasn't seen it. It's like stay on the soapbox because people really need to see this show. And I feel like it really
Mhm.
opens people's eyes to that idea that it's expressing about everything, really.
Yeah.
And when a show has something to say and when it lingers with you, that's when it's really important. And you're right. It's so easy to binge. Well, okay, I take that back. It's
Well,
not easy to binge because of the content,
right.
but it's something you can watch in installments and not feel like you are watching something to get to an end. Every single
Mhm.
episode, line of dialogue has purpose and intent.
Yeah.
It's not
And
wasted.
yeah, and what I meant was just as far as like how the length of this series, because it's only 5 episodes, right?
5 episodes, about
Yeah.
50 minutes to sometimes an hour-ish long,
Yeah.
but it's shorter than your average show.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if
because it's a
anyone's
miniseries.
looking for something that they don't necessarily that they know they need to find time for, but don't like want to take a lot of time
Yeah,
for it, like that's a good length
definitely.
for the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Ransom, number one.
All right, number one. So mine is this show is just constantly wholesome every episode, and it's so good. Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, I'm glad you have
Yeah.
comedy on here because I don't really have like any on mine, so that's
Yeah, well, it's such a perfect show to binge right now because you're inside, you're feeling high anxiety, a little bit depressed. There's nothing that you can go out and do,
Easy to.
but yeah, um, but Brooklyn Nine-Nine is such a good show. The first season is a little hard to get into. Some of the jokes are still kind of like finding their footing,
Yeah.
but that's because they're setting up a bunch of uh they like a lot of the jokes that they have in like the current season like are reoccurring jokes, and like they just keep on like stackpiling up this joke to make it like even better and better. And
Adding
like,
layers.
yeah, and that's so nice to have for um for like a show that's about workplace, and like trying to get along with your coworkers.
Uh,
um but they create a family with each other, which is really cool. Especially in some episodes when they deal with like a specific character. I know they started doing this like around season 5, especially, where they started getting into like tackling really specific topics, like going into with Terry Cruz's character, going into racial profiling. And like, and this is like a comedy show, but it also takes those situations and really takes them seriously, and like allows for there to be a moment of just like serious dialogue followed up with a joke that like doesn't just feel like completely out of like context. It like
oh my
actually
God.
makes sense to have.
That one episode you showed me, like, if you're a movie fan, that's the show for you to watch. Like,
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
is a movie reference. I feel like if that episode is emblematic of what that series is.
yeah. I'm
Okay.
telling you, Anthony, you got to get into it. You got
I
to take your time with it.
mean, it's your number one on this list, so I guess I do.
Yeah, it's so good. It feels really nice to be able to watch it and kind of get like a sense of just like relaxation from it. That's what I get, and especially in this time, like that's something people totally need right now.
Yeah, that's super important.
Yeah. All right, you're number one, Anthony. I
So
think I know
again,
what it's
another
gonna be.
broken record of mine. As per the usual on my soapbox. When I love something, I really, really love it. And number one is that for me right now. It's Castlevania, without a doubt. It is mind blowing. I mean, last week, funny enough, Ransom and I talked after the podcast that we had released about it. And I thought I had recorded it. Didn't, sadly. I was so upset because we did like a season 3 in-depth kind of look conversation. It was really good, but sadly lost to time. And I'll just say this: if you need something that is just cool as hell to watch, but has substance to back up those amazing moments, then Castlevania is for you. And I feel like every single video game fan right now should be watching this show because it is exactly what video game fans have been saying about the way to transition a video game story into a different medium, either a show or a movie, for example, right? And it's kind of cool that it's like not live action for live action's sake. They put it in an animation form so they could get across some of the amazing kind of feeling that the video game expressed in some moments. Some of the action scenes that they have here will remind you of moments in those games, from what I've heard people say that are huge Castlevania fans. And for people like me that only have a little bit of outside knowledge and have kind of come in and out of that series, there's enough there to remember certain things and be like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And because I don't have that super connection to the video games, it makes the story even cooler because a lot of it is repeating things that the video game series did, but on a new scale and with amazing script. The people they got to write this are just expert level. They understand these characters' motivations. They've got a map out for where the trajectory is going, and it's just cool as hell. And man, I think one of the best episodes of like content that I got from, I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before. I'm struggling to remember that. But that fight scene in season 2 is just one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen, especially when you put in that classic video game theme into the mix. And it's like better than ever. Chills. Oh my God. It's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
So yeah. Castlevania. You need to watch it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's a very well written show.
Yeah. I feel like anybody can access it
Mhm.
if you're willing.
Yes,
There's a little bit of a line there. If you're willing to allow yourself for some dark, kind of gory shit sometimes, but like really cool characters with motivations. It's the new Game of Thrones for Netflix, I would say. People were saying that was going to be The Witcher, and I could see that going that way. But in terms of the plot, the politics, and the philosophy that it's talking about, this show has that in spades.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool shit.
It is definitely not like, it's definitely willing to just like go for it, not hold back.
Yeah. It toes the line, and it does it in a really good way instead of doing it for like shock value's sake. I don't feel like anything is unwarranted or over the top, you know. Even that scene that some people were thinking might have been from this latest season, I still think it made sense for what the characters were going through in that sequence, and it's a distraction, and that's the implication of it. So, but I don't want to spoil things. Just go watch it.
Yeah.
Just rule 43. That's all I'm gonna say. Ransom, we've got some time here, and I was looking through, and sadly, I don't think anybody commented on that video I posted. Sadly, but I'm gonna just double check real quick. Did you have a couple of other quick little shout outs, maybe from things that were like older that you might want to mention to people to watch that are TV shows?
Yeah. Something that our friend Joe and I have been talking about currently. He's going through and binging Smallville.
Nice.
Which is the DC TV verse before Arrow started happening. Because they were gonna try and like create a DC world on TV through Smallville, but it just didn't really work out.
It didn't.
Not because the show was bad. It's just some of the production stuff happening. The same writers as and producers of Supernatural, so they couldn't really budget it in and find the time.
And remind me if I'm wrong here, but the last season of Smallville, that was when the big old writer's strike was going on, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah. So I think that had something to do with it as well.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of mess going around at the end of the season. But the show does a great job, especially if you're into DC. You know, a lot of people aren't too happy with the DC movies. Everyone's kind of 50-50 on them. But
it's like Star Wars, right?
Yeah. But the nice thing with Smallville is that it really takes the time to dive into the characters first, and then build the lore from Superman into the show, and it does it in like a really fresh and innovative way, because it's seeing him kind of grow up, which is cool.
Yeah, that's a new interesting take on it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Any other quick little shout outs? And then I might have I have one big one that I just want to bring up because it's another soapbox of mine.
I'm always gonna shout out Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Parks and Rec. Go watch Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec is kind of in the same boat as Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but
Okay. The Office too, by the way. Katie just
oh
commented.
yeah,
She's like, The Office.
yes, Office is
This-
good.
yeah.
I haven't watched it as much as Parks and Rec myself, but
Parks and Rec is better.
yeah,
It just is. It's just is. It's fine though. Hey, no bad feeling and ill will to The Office. It's
yes,
just Parks and Rec, a little bit more my taste.
yes, and it has wholesome moments, just like Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
So wholesome. So wholesome.
Yes. So,
Anything else?
uh, that's all I can think of currently.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll shout out real quick all the Star Trek stuff. If you really want to
yeah,
see
yeah.
what nerds get into, go watch Next Gen, Voyager, or Deep Space Nine. I know a lot of people can't get into like the Kirk days, which is totally understandable. But if you're always fascinated, go down that rabbit hole too.
yeah,
But I will say this: everyone absolutely should try, even if you're not the biggest sci-fi fan, but you like character building and stories that have to do with exploring what people are about and what toll psychologically that a big world-ending thing can do to people, and that struggle, that will to keep going on, to persevere through it. Yeah, I would recommend Battlestar Galactica, absolutely. Some people may find it a little bit dark for maybe this time that we're in, but I don't necessarily agree. I think it's just realistic for dealing with um, people's trauma and people's failings. They treat human beings as human beings first. And I feel like in TV shows, so often we have characters that feel like caricatures. And I don't think that that's true for this show. I think it's a show about really amazing philosophy. And, if you take away the sci-fi from it, what you're left with is just really a show about people. And that's what I like. That's what I like so much about it. I won't comment on the sci-fi towards the end. Maybe some people don't like that, but I still think it's interesting. And yeah, I mean, if you do like cool sci-fi shit, there are some moments in that TV show you will not see anywhere else in that way. And they shoot it like a wartime documentary, and I'm always a big fan of that. So shout out to Battlestar Galactica. If you have not checked out that series, find it on Amazon and check it out. Educate yourself.
indeed, it is. I still need to finish it, but you definitely have gotten me into it. So.
I would love to see what you think of I believe it's third or fourth episode of season 3 called Storming New Caprica. And I would love to see what you think of that sci-fi sequence there. I tell you, I don't know what sci-fi did, but like they somehow managed to just blow their budget in like 1 or 2 episodes every season. The rest of it's just like up in people's faces, not much shit going on, but like a ton of great script. And then there's just these episodes every once in a while where shit goes down and they just blow the budget, and it's awesome.
Hell yeah. That did remind me though of another sci-fi TV series that I think will be very important for people if they want to go out and see Denis Villeneuve's next film, sci-fi's series, short series of Dune. It's so good.
It's like, it's so good, but you look back at it and there are some parts that are so incredibly cheesy. I was watching it and I was like, wow, there's a reason why we always make fun of the spice. And then Baron Harkonnen going in his fucking wheelchair. Whoever they got for Harkonnen in that though is way better than the movie one. I'll just say that.
Well, and there's been like 2 different versions done movie wise already of Dune. There's one with Patrick Stewart and then another one with I can't think of his name, but the guy in Twin Peaks.
Yeah. Patrick Stewart as Gurney Halleck, I will never forget for like any time of my life. If you're like a fan of just seeing people that are really famous in really weird roles and just going to the nth degree. I would say that this is Patrick Stewart's most like Cage-like performance of his life, and it's amazing.
I mean, he did do the Emoji Movie as well, so
That's true.
yeah,
That's true. But that was voice only, right?
yeah. But in my opinion, I think the best one that's gonna give you a sense of what to expect for Denis Villeneuve's Dune is going to be the series, the sci-fi series.
Yeah, it closely follows the book a little bit more than the movie did in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So I agree with that sentiment. So yeah, if you're ever curious, check out some really crazy shit sci-fi. That's the one to look at.
Yeah, yeah. And it'll get you into the universe of what Denis Villeneuve's, because I'm sure Denis Villeneuve's going to take it to like another level, and that's going to be so exciting.
I mean, I just want the ideas that the book brings out with some maybe refinements on some of the Bene Gesserit and like relationships with Atreides, right? Mm-hmm. But you bring in the cool sci-fi budget to go along with it that Villeneuve can get because he's amazing. Mm-hmm. And you could have some of the coolest sci-fi that we've seen in the last decade. Like, we're talking Interstellar level and then some.
Yeah. I want to see Atreides crowding with some worms, you know?
Oh my God. I want to see really good sci-fi.
Yeah. That's going to look so amazing.
Oh, God. I can't wait for Rebecca Ferguson too.
Just that whole cast.
The whole cast, yeah. But I think her most of all I might be most excited for. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. There's so many good ones though.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, TV shows. Yeah, go watch them.
Go watch them.
Well, I do think that about wraps it up for this week's show. But hey, the conversation, it's never over. Leave us a comment over on our Facebook page or Twitter @WorthyWatchers, or an email worthywatchers@gmail.com, and some comments on what you think are some worthy TV shows to watch right now. And if you have a chance, spread the word about what we're doing over at Worthy Watchers. Let your friends know and get them in on the conversation. Just, hey, leave a like, review, or share. I'm always happy with anything, we'll take it. So thanks again for watching, and I guess we'll see you on the next quarantine podcast.
See you then.
Ooh.